Right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. And a very big Global Chamber Dhaka welcome to all of you. We are very privileged today to organize an event under our banner signature event, that is Women in Global Leadership. But we took a little bit of very interesting spin on it, and that is we wanted to focus on Asia and Africa. And that is we're naming the event Women in Global Leadership, Asia and Africa Rising. So this is going to be about amazing women that you can see here today, which I'm going to have the privilege of introducing. And of course, one equally amazing person who supports the progress of women. We'll see the leadership attributes that they bring in. We will learn from their journeys, and we will see how we can help women progress forward, how women and men together can create a better world for tomorrow in the age of commerce and beyond. So without further ado, let me start with our facilitator and host for today. That is Kashfia Firdaus. She is the founder and business consultant of Key Audit Solutions of Cash. She has 19 plus years of experience of turning oversight and assurance of controlled environments into a competitive advantage for forward-thinking organization. In these 19 years, she's worked in various organizations such as Ernst & Young, where she started her journey in the US, and then she led in very dynamic roles at Summit Group, GSK, ICDDRB, and Chevron. Among other things, she's also, most importantly, the advisory board chair of Global Chamber Dhaka. And she is also a creative edge with being a dynamic storyteller and dynamic writer as well. Our next and our first panelist is Ruby A. Golo, another very big heavyweight entrepreneur hailing from Accra, Ghana. And Ruby, I know, is right now in the US, but she is the CEO of Global Trade Consult, which is a Ghanaian-based consultancy organization that supports foreign organizations with business interests coming into the country. She holds a variety of roles, and this has included trade and investment expertise by being part of the UK Trade and Investment Organization, UKTI, Department for Business and Trade, DTI, within the British High Commission in Accra. She's also founder member of the advisory board for Livestock and Fisheries Chamber, board member for Junior Achievement in JA Ghana. She's the Ghana advisor for the Scottish Africa Business Association, SABA, country advisor for Turnkey International Business Group, Turkey, and country business partner for the Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce. Among other things that you'll get to learn more about Ruby today, she's also the executive director of Global Chamber Accra, Ghana. Moving on, our second panelist is Afsar Aisha, the director of Light Over Light, SDN BHD in Malaysia, and she was also a social media consultant. She's a coach, a trainer, and a facilitator. She nurtures creativity, innovation, and entrepreneur skills. She's worked in various countries from Bangladesh to Southeast Asia and in sectors such as education, retail, IT, and delivers high impact programs on branding, social media, marketing, and entrepreneurship. She's a certified coach, and she's certified by HRD Corp and International Association of Coaching, and they combine creative tools like generative AI and Canva in their organization to inspire professionals and organizations to innovate, lead, and thrive. Our third panelist is another very big heavyweight. Everyone's a heavyweight. I mean, I think I'm getting intimidated introducing everyone. This is Tania Ashraf, the founder of AGA. She has 25 plus years of global experience working for leading development organizations such as the World Bank, IFC, Grameen Foundation, BRAC International, and America India Foundation. Recently, Ms. Tania quit her well-paid job to pivot and focus on a topic very close to her heart, that is women's leadership development. And I know that we could never have anyone better to speak today. She is the founder and CEO of AGA, which means Moving Forward in Bengali, which is a women-led leadership circle connecting Bangladeshi women across Bangladesh and the diaspora through intentional confidence building and mentorship. She's lived in Europe, Australia, Asia, and North America, being truly global, and has a natural disposition for understanding the global environment of authentic leadership. our amazing gentleman who is a great role model to support women today is Syed Asir Haq, the managing partner of A&A Global Consultants, sorry. He's a strategy consultant with over 7 years of experience advising manufacturing and technology companies on digital transformation, market entry, and operational efficiency across Asia and Europe. He's the managing partner, as I've already said, of A&A Global Consultants and is certified in management consulting and SAP technologies. He specializes in executive stakeholder engagement, strategic partnerships, and execution. He's also a director of Beaumont Garments Limited, Beaumont Apparels Limited, and HKS Global, being a second-generation entrepreneur in the R&D space. He also serves as an advisory board advisor to Global Chamber Dhaka and is a former curator of the Global Shapers Chattogram Hub in Bangladesh. Having said that, that's a lot of information, a lot of caliber, a lot of experience that we're bringing today. Let me hand it over to the women who are going to be enlightening us, and of course, the exemplary gentleman. To do that, I'll pass it on the torch to Kashmir Firdaus. Ms. Firdaus, over to you.
Wow, thank you so much, Maimun. That was quite a mouthful, but I'm glad that means that we have a very good group here with a lot of very relevant and very useful experience, and to especially the conversation we're going to have today. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're joining us from, everyone, and welcome to Rising Women Leadership in Asia and Africa, where we are going to talk about how to redefine influence and impact in today's day and age. Thank you all again for joining us from different parts of the world, from different time zones. Thank you for choosing to be here today. This is a very important conversation, I think, on right now, given what's happening all over the world, on regarding leadership, representation, innovative solutions, and the growing influence of women, not just across industries, but also across communities. And today's discussion will explore not only the challenges women continue to face, but also the extraordinary ways women leaders across Asia and Africa are shaping business, governance, entrepreneurship, technology, and social change. We are honored today, as you heard, from the very rich profiles of all our panelists. We're very honored to be joined by the incredible group of speakers we have, and they bring diverse perspectives and experiences to this conversation. And our goal today is to not just educate, but also more like to start a meaningful dialogue and bring practical insights and collaboration for future action. Before we begin, I'd love to also welcome all the participants, and I would request if you could briefly introduce yourselves in the chat and where you're joining from. And also, if you have any questions, we would love to have them. And I would request if you could restrict them to, or at least postpone them to the end of the webinar, to the Q&A section. That way, I think it will be a more flowing conversation. And also, you can drop your questions in the chat and we can look at them then as well, whichever you're comfortable with. So without further ado, let's start with our keynote session. And I'm going to go from speaker to speaker. So I was thinking that we could have like 1 point per speaker for this to kick off our Globinar. As much as we love celebrating all the success that we have as women leaders all over the world, I know that we still face a lot of barriers and different kinds of barriers to our leadership growth. So what would you say you think is still a big barrier that's existing for women leaders today? And let's start with Ruby.
Hi, everyone. Great to be part of the panel today. I'm so excited about the topic we are discussing. For me, in Africa, what I see is still a huge barrier is access to credit. We do have wonderful women with great ideas, brilliant products that will want to scale up, but they are challenged with finance. And for me, like you said, this discussion should not just stay in this room. We should find solutions to it. And my wish today would be that within our community, within the Global Chamber community, is there a way we can do an audit to find who is in the financial space and who has expertise in those areas, who are the investors, so that we can provide support to these women so that today it's not just the usual talks for us to discuss these matters in this room today. My greatest wish is at the end of today, can we find ways that we can find solutions? Because African women are ready. They have the ideas, they have the product, not just for local consumption, but globally. And for me, financing is the key area that I think we should look at. And that is how I want to set the tone for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Tanya, what do you think is a barrier that still exists for women leaders?
Sure. Thank you. So first of all, thank you, Maimun, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you, Kashmir, for getting all of us together. And of course, a very warm greeting to my fellow panelists and everyone else who has joined in for this conversation. I also hope that it will be enlightening for all of you and we can really learn from each other. So, I've been thinking about this, and I think, for me, one of the persistent barriers, particularly in Bangladesh for women, is the lack of access to networking opportunities, right? And also sponsorship opportunities. So you can. There's many networking platforms that happen here. There's many in-person networking events that happen, but there's not really a whole lot going on for women. Plus, also the networking events that do happen, I have to say, largely they're not very female friendly, if I can say that. So for me personally, I think having the lack of access to good networking opportunities is a key barrier for women's leadership growth, in particularly in Bangladesh.
Very, very, very pertinently said. I must say, I agree, being part of that community as well. Moving on to Apsara, I know that because you're navigating both Bangladesh, Malaysia, and a lot of Asia. So what do you think you would say is a different barrier that exists in maybe Malaysia that could be different from Bangladesh, or is it similar? What are your thoughts?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet everyone here and get to learn from each other about our boundaries, our opportunities in future as a woman leaders in future, and also hopefully we can give our 2 cents in this session for everyone here to take away from this. So from this point, as a barrier, I think for Malaysia and Bangladesh, there is a key difference here. Is Malaysia is very heavily doing training on AI and digital transformation, which Bangladesh is very much lacking in this sector, especially for women. So we are, as a trainer and a coach as well. So when I train, I see here in Malaysia that a lot of women joins here to learn. So I think this is the thing that an AI and technical fluency gap that is in Bangladesh. And I see a lot of women in Bangladesh, freelancers, who are using AI as well, but slowly, but they are trying to use AI and digital platforms like social media, for like Facebook, Instagram. They are very much into heavily using this thing to market themselves, to be on that area. So I think that this key difference here is that Malaysia is very much into AI. The women will want to learn, and the company is giving them the opportunity to learn and be more in this, be fluent in these technical areas. So yeah, that's my
Thank you, Apsara. I think that's very heartening to hear that Malaysia is taking those steps and leading the way. I wish, and I hope that, given the globalization of everything, and Bangladesh gets influenced very quickly and moves ahead on the AI and digitization spectrum, especially for women. Asir, so being, I would say, our male ally on this panel, what do you feel when you're working with various, women leaders and other women entrepreneurs, etc.? You feel that is a barrier limiting their leadership growth from your perspective?
Hi, thank you, Maimuna, for the warm introduction, and Kashfi Apu. It's lovely to be here. I'm honored. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone has the question, what am I doing here? I'm asking that myself. With such amazing peer panelists here, I want to be on the other side listening to everyone. So it's but I hope I can provide some sort of a perspective here, and rightly said, as a ally here. But I do want to take it back a bit in terms of what my perspective of a barrier would be. Um, and I would say it starts with nurturing, right? Because in a lot of ways, um, the half the battle is lost before you even step into the world of career at your homes. Um, and there was this one famous saying that I heard my aunt say once, is that, and I'm sure a lot of people will could relate to this, is um, boys are raised to lead and girls are raised to be more cautious, right? And it compounds over time. And that is a very serious issue in a lot of in the Asian context, and I'm sure even in Africa's context, this goes a long way. So for me, I think and I truly believe that this has to happen within the homes, the education, the nurturing, how sisters, how mothers, how everyone is treated. It starts from our homes, and we need to do this for our next generation, so that that gap in inequality, that gap in perspective reduces over time. Sure. Yeah.
Very, very well said, Asir. I think you've touched on a very, very relevant and very real point here that is so important, especially, based on the region that we are highlighting today. And thank you so much for bringing that up. I very much appreciate it. And piggybacking off from that, since these were the challenges we're talking about, what would you say in one point, very quickly, that if everyone could just state that, would you say, and I'll start with Apsara this time, is an opportunity that is unique to our region, the opposite of what we were discussing?
Excellent. I would say the opportunity that we have now is women wants to learn. They have that inner fire, I would say, that they want to do something, because all the barriers that they face, the cultural differences, the norms, they want to break through that. So that is something that, because I, as a coach, I had the privilege to coach young professionals and homemakers, some women in profession as well, to learn about their experiences in life. So for me, that I see that ambition, I see that fire in them. So what we need is for the male here, or the society, as in this leadership journey. It could start from the family, it could start from the company, or our society, to help those women to bring forward. I think that is also I see in that woman. I think that's the main. I'd say that's not a barrier. That's not a challenge. That's a very excellent part that I see in Bangladesh. So hopefully we are going to be able to help them to grow more.
Yeah. Great. Well said. Thank you, Apsara. Ruby, what would you say is the greatest opportunity in this region?
I think there's so much women can do. I mean, God created us to be givers and we give to the world. I mean, there's nobody in this room that didn't come out from a woman. And we have that inside us. We are ready. We are open to take charge and be given opportunities as much as possible. And a lot is shifting. In Africa, look, women contribute so much informally, but now they are taking charge and upscaling themselves outside the informal way and now structuring things, but they need that help. And we in the corporate world, we have the skills, we have the knowledge. We need to go out there and provide our support and give that leaning hand to every woman that has the appetite to upskill and grow and give back to society. So that's what I would want to say.
Thank you, Ruby. Very, very true. And moving on to Tanya, and then once Tanya is done after, you can chime in. What is an opportunity that you would say that we have, unique to the region?
Sure. I just want to actually recognize Asif for making a really, really key point that, even before you join the workforce, right, the sort of self-limiting barrier, right? And that really stems from, I think, again, the product of how we've been raised, particularly in countries like, well, in South Asia, and I don't know, maybe in many African countries also. So I think that's a really big barrier that we do need to work through. And I think that's a big challenge, right? So for instance, women are not really expected to speak up, stay quiet, you only talk when I talk to you, only speak once you're spoken to, and things like that, right? So it really affects, a woman's self-confidence, how she sort of grows up, how she performs in in school, office, etc., etc. Having said that, so that's the challenging part, right? But there's also a silver lining in this, which is particularly in Bangladesh, we're seeing that more girls are doing much better. Girls are doing much better, outperforming boys in high school, at university levels, and all of that, right? It's just that once they get into the workforce, they're not getting the same kind of opportunities. Now, if we are able, so I see this as an opportunity in the sense that if we are able to create platforms where we can educate these businesses, these business entities and things like that, guys, this is 50% of the population. Imagine how much more you're going to get out of them if you invest in them, right? Give them the opportunities, right? And I'm from coming from the development space, we really believe that if you educate a man, you're educating an individual. You educate a woman, you're educating her community. Right? So it's the same thing with the credit also. You teach a man to fish, he can fish for a day or something like that, right? Or something, you give a man a fish or something, etc. So it's the same kind of principle. I think it's just a matter of creating those opportunities. And I think we're at a very exciting point where we can work with these different governments, businesses, and really sort of educate them on the bottom line, right? The what's your bottom line? Obviously, if you have more productive workers, your bottom line is, your profits are going to be higher, right? So that's how I sort of see the opportunity coming in.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. I think I'll just piggyback off of that and say that that the opportunities are primarily in the tech industry, right? With the rise of technology and access to technology, in countries such as Bangladesh, where even in the rural areas, the access which previously might not have been, they're now getting access to it. So for women to build up and hone up the skills, it is more possible than it ever was. And again, there for very entrepreneurial people, for more innovative people, there is the opportunity to build such platforms to help more and more people to bridge that gap. So yeah, I completely am in agreement with what Miss Tanya Arshaf said, and everyone else as well.
Thank you, Aster and Tanya. I think from just these 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so, I think we've touched already upon most of the key issues affecting us as women leaders, both regionally and in some ways these can also, I think, be extrapolated globally if you really think about it. I mean, the glass ceiling is real. I feel like it's a glass ceiling over the globe, not anymore restricted to the offices. That's my experience been, working in various countries, communities, both East and West. I know that societally we have more of a patriarchy in Asia, Africa, which is affecting us from a very young age, more obviously, but there is also very much subtle stuff that happens in the West as well that is very similar. And I think the learnings and discussions can be insightful for everyone joining from anywhere. And I think I would say for me, the key takeaway from this first session today was that the future of leadership for women will not just be defined by geography or just tradition alone, but by inclusion and the courage to lead differently and to take that step with the help of your community. That's what I thought was the key takeaway from everything. And wow, I already feel empowered as I am, but I feel even more empowered with this conversation. And Asir, you are making. I wish all the males we worked with thought like you. That's what I would say. So moving into our panel discussion, and the theme that we came up with for this Globinar was breaking barriers and building influence. So what we'll do is we'll start each section with a different speaker and then kind of move on to it. Let's try and keep we have 4 sections, so let's try and keep them to about 5 minutes each, the sections, so about 1 to 1.5 minutes per speaker. So I'll start with Ruby, because still, as we still see that a lot of the spaces, be it tech or be it the manufacturing industry, even fintech, even financial services, etc., are still pretty male-dominated, and as they have been traditionally. So, I mean, definitely improving, but still a lot of the spaces are male-dominated. How do you think that women can build influence in these traditionally male-dominated spaces? Because Africa is a very large manufacturing industry as well, and you do a lot of consults for these type of companies. Why would the diverse leadership matter, and how women can better navigate this, especially the male-dominated industry, and how men do you think can become stronger allies in these spaces?
Well, for me, if men, I'm speaking with a perspective of Ghana or Africa. So if women cannot get a seat at the table with men, why can't we create our own table? Mm-hmm. And for me, that is how I'm empowering women in my circle. That look, if you can't get yourself on that table to contribute in the areas that men are dominating, then let's create something for ourselves and do it very well. You know, we women, when we get our head into something, we make sure we do it well. And so let's create that table and create that initiative and do it well and give ourselves that visibility. And once we get that visibility, I think the men will tend to see what we are doing. And in Ghana, I can say that we do have a lot of women groups coming up to support each other, to come together, to influence policy, and to create a platform where women can actually shine. And for me, if we can't get the seat, we are going to create it. And that is the push African women are doing and getting themselves seen, not just locally, but globally as well.
Thank you, Ruby. I love that thought that, why don't we create our own table? And yeah, and just change the story, basically. All right,
Absolutely.
Asir, what do you think
Yes. So
women can do differently in traditionally male-dominated spaces?
thank you. Thank you. I think this is a very, very important topic because I'm from the manufacturing industry in Bangladesh, and which is heavily, heavily male dominated, especially in the garment sector. Um, and and for us, we need to make more opportunities and more leeways for breaking that invisible barrier that exists, right? And it's a non-spoken barrier. So
Mm.
so when we think about the um, building that influence, I think women leaders are slowly coming up the ranks in the garment field, in the manufacturing field, in a country like Bangladesh, and it's because these women are very ever present. They're not shying away from their beliefs, um, and not really taking a no for an answer. And an amazing example that I can give is in the BGMEA, which is the Bangladesh Garment Manufacturing Association. Um, it's always been predominantly male directors, but very recently you've been seeing a lot of female directors and presidents over the last few years. And very recently, a very respected peer of mine, she broke the barrier by creating her own table, by making a separate sustainability division for the BGMEA, and it was her brainchild, and she took that initiative forward. So it's these are the things where Ruby, you said making your own table, and I think you just need to stick to your beliefs and stick to your presence, and make that presence be felt, and you can absolutely break any invisible barrier there is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for highlighting that instance that was created in the, I knew about the president and the members, but I didn't know that there was a separate thing created by a woman leader. That's amazing to hear, and makes me very happy being from Bangladesh. Tanya, you have been in so many big organizations, global ones, World Bank, I see, and I know, worked in mostly traditionally male-dominated spaces a lot and in different communities. What do you think women can do differently to, navigate these spaces better? And also how men can become stronger allies, do you feel, in these spaces?
Yeah. Thank you for that. So actually, in the development space, it's generally kind of more predominantly women, but of course, leadership tends to be all men, right?
Yes.
Right. So I think that's what the sort of point.
That's what I was.
Yeah. So I think number one for me is that we don't need to lead like men, and I think we sort of really fall into that trap that, oh, I have to be, like really stern, or I have to be like a scary boss, and you have to be like scared of me, So I don't think we need to do that, right? I think we can like really lean into, like our femininity, right? Our feminine nature, right? Or our empathy, or all of that, right? And kind of like lead from that space. I really liked what Ruby said about creating your own alliances. I think, if we look around us, Kashmir, you and I, Afsara, I'm sure you too, Asir, you too, I'm sure, all of us here in Bangladesh, if we look around us, we know so many amazing, incredible women doing super stuff, right? But we are not really connecting with them. Why are we not doing that? It's also actually one of the reasons why I wanted to build Egie, so that we have this platform where all of these incredible women can connect, can network, and then you build your own sort of ecosystem, right? And not have to rely on kind of the mainstream male dominated spaces and stuff, right? The second point, I want to make a really quick point about men being our allies. Very key, right? All of this talk that we do, it's not really going to progress if the men aren't on board with it, right? So I think there is also a level of educating men on these aspects, right? So how do we kind of go about doing that? For me, I'd say that my first ally in life, my first male ally in life was, of course, my father. So I want to definitely give him a short tribute. he never made me feel that, oh, you're a girl, so your brother is better than you or whatever, blah 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 blah. In fact, we thought he was kind of like the problem child, right? So I feel like both my sister and I, we had like equal, if not more, opportunities than my brother. We've always felt very, very supported by our dad. And the one thing that he really taught the both of us is to be financially independent. And I think that is key to building one's like confidence and how you work and all of that stuff, right? So just to say that I think the allyship, and again, it's sort of going back to, again, Asir's earlier point about how we're raised. So if we have like strong men in our lives that are supportive of who we are and really give us that support when we need it, I really think that's one way to kind of, lead in a man's world.
Thank you so much, Tani. I think that I would like to just really quickly echo what Tanya said, and that it's so important, and also to what Asir said, that it starts, if you are blessed, I was also blessed like you, Tanya, to have a father who treated me. Growing up, I never felt like whether, what's the difference in growing up as a boy or a girl. And I was very blessed and thankful to have a father and also a family who appreciated strong women and who, provide an environment for you to flourish and thrive and grow as you wish. So again, to stress on the point that it's so important that if you can get that kind of thing early on in life, and it really prepares you, what Asir said earlier as well. This is something I think that everyone should really be focusing on, that not just much later in life when you're working, but also to kind of nurture that way ahead. I think that can do wonders. Afsara.
All right. Thank you so much. And before I share, I wanted to say into this point is, like Miss Tanya and Miss Kashia has said, I also have a very supporting and mentor. My dad is throughout my life. Like I want to share a story of like how Bangladeshi women can be stronger and incompetent, can grow their competence. Is if your father and your family members supports you, it gives you a lot of strength to move forward. I think the barriers just breaks in. So you can do a lot of stuff without fear. So you know that at the back, you have your family, you have the father. I think that's what from the family, it is very important for fathers, brothers, or whoever the members of the family supports the woman. So I got this opportunity, and from my father, he believed me as a 16-year-old, go to Malaysia and study. So he believed in me, and that's what gave me the confidence to be the first woman in my family, be the youngest to go abroad to study. So I think this gives a woman the strength and the power to build their skills, the competence, and of course, to break the barrier, you must have the skills. You must know what you need to do. You need to build your competence. So I think in this era, the digital transformation era, we must be tech savvy. That's the number one thing that we must know. So if we, unfortunately, if we say in a percentage, just 21% women knows how to use technology. So that's a very low number. So I think we need to learn we need to build our capacity. We need to build our technological knowledge, our skills. I think that will help like 50% that will give us the knowledge and will break the barrier that we're in here.
Right. I believe you're right, Asar, that instead of, I think a lot of it comes from also, I don't know, I don't want to stereotype anything, but a lot of times it's a fear of something new or something, that you're not familiar with, and be shy away from tech. I myself Guilty of that. Even today, I was like, Maimun, you're going to be there, right? Because I don't know all the technical stuff in a webinar. What if I make a mistake? So that, I think it's an innate thing that I don't know if men suffer from it. Maybe not so much. But I mean, when we were kids, boys would always, get the new toys and start, even if they broke them or whatever, but they would just go for it without so much inhibition. We were a little more, I think it comes from the nurturing and being careful part. But I totally agree, Aftar, that we need to embrace technology more and be tech savvier to compete in this world. Whether you are for it or not, that's a different discussion about AI, etc. But I mean, you need to know it. So if you don't know it, how are you gonna even work with it or even fight it? If you have to know it first. So just continuing from that, Aftara, what do you feel, since you are such a great example of cross-border growth that you've done with your company Light Over Light and as a coach and digital marketer, how do you think women can position themselves in a better position for leadership in evolving industries for cross-border growth specifically?
Actually, the thing is, what I see here in Malaysia is most of the women are in HR. They are HR heads. They are in the top level of HR management. They are in the C-suites level of HR. So what I see here is that the women our innate ability is we are caring. Our feminine energy is we care about people. So this is the strength that we can be the number one in this, not a male dominated leaders. So now the leadership is not as masculine, it's more about feminine. So how do you care? How do you empower your staff? How do you empower your colleagues? So this is the thing that in this leadership journey that Malaysian women are embracing. And what I would like to see in Bangladesh is for the women to embrace in that area as well. And also, as I mentioned before, that we have more freelancers, we have more business entrepreneurs in Bangladesh right now. I think so many, in fact, in our home in Bangladesh, there is one entrepreneur running her business with, she's selling her, what's called mati hari in Bangla we call it. So made with clays and stuff, clay pots, like traditional Bangladeshi items that she's selling. So these kind of women are mainly dominating in Bangladesh. So I think this is the entrepreneurial journey here in Malaysia, more towards industry, corporate level, and in Bangladesh, in entrepreneurial level is quite high there. So this is we see that globally there is a gender gap issue. That's a major issue that we see. So still we have not there yet as a woman in this industry. We still have in this, if we say in a corporate sector, there are only 31% women are in leadership position, like C-suites level. So that's quite low. So this is where we need to make the changes and see what women can do, not just be in that like in a caregiving way. They are also competent. So we, as a male or as a society, they need to see that they have the competence. They can give the care and they can be empathetic leaders towards their company and towards their society as well. So that's a key difference I see.
Thank you, Aftar. I think that's very important that you pointed out that, which also Tanya said, that instead of why try to be like, embrace our innate, nature that we have and build on that. We are always, instead of trying to be or embody leadership qualities and generally considered dominant in male leaders, why not embrace our innate leadership qualities that we have as women? And that is something that I think can be transferable in all communities and all countries. So that's something that's great. I think in cross-border growth as well. That's a quality. Ruby, what do you feel like is a good positioning for women to have for cross-border growth, if I'm thinking of Asia and Africa, or Asia to
Well,
Africa and vice versa?
yeah, like you said, I think that to provide that care, one way we can provide support is, open our doors to mentorship. And for me, I have opened my doors to younger women and students to intern in my firm every summer. So not, I haven't opened the doors just to Ghanaian students or women, but I've had opportunity of mentoring young women from various African countries. I've had an intern from Kenya, for instance, Rwanda, and some other places. And that gives me an opportunity to share my knowledge, my experience. The thing is, I mean, the jobs are no longer there. And what do we do to empower these young women to look to becoming their own boss or going into entrepreneurship? And if we don't open up and share our experiences, expertise, and guide them, then we are leaving them behind because, like I said, the jobs are simply not there. They could create something for themselves. And for me, that is one initiative I'm using. So every year I open the doors. Even as we speak, I have a student who is a student in African leadership, investing in Rwanda, interning with me. And that is the little contribution I am making in my corner. And if we can all take up that responsibility, I think we can bring a change.
Amazing. I love that you we'll touch a little more on mentorship very soon, but thanks for bringing that up, and that's so important to look back and help rising women who will be the future leaders, because this was you like maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and
Absolutely.
to recognize that in them. That's amazing. The same question, Tania, what do you think is something women can do for cross-border growth? And then after, if we could quickly go through that, because we have the other sections we need to cover.
Sure. So Ruby, thanks for setting me up for the next section on the mentoring. I'm excited to talk about that. But what I wanted to, just a quick point about the cross-border collab. Guess what? Look what we're doing right now. Right? So I didn't know Ruby. I didn't know Aksara. I knew Kashmir from before, right? But here we go. We've just had like a nice cross-border collab, right? So I feel like places like, entities like Global Chamber, you can definitely bring a lot more women together to maybe network across the two different regions, making connections and things like that. Again, I don't want to talk about EGIR too much right now, but one of the visions I had was that if I'm able to scale, EGIR to go international, a place like Global Chamber is the perfect place for me to kind of make that connection and connect with other women, right? So I think, platforms like this is really, really key to bring in women from, different regions as well. So I just wanted to make that quick point.
Yes, and then I'll carry on from that, and I would like to say that I really echo what Afsar Abu said regarding caring aspect and the empathy aspect, where women leaders are just a lot more adaptive. We see that time and time again, where they're more accepting of different cultures, of different perspectives, and maybe it has a lot to do with more of the challenges that has happened throughout their careers, but you do see that in these qualities very much so in almost everyone, or in almost all women leaders. And I just like to say that I've been blessed to be surrounded by women entrepreneurs all my life. My mom, my sister, all my aunts, and very recently even my wife. So I've always seen their perspective. I've always seen how they led. And one of the best examples I can very quickly give, and I feel like this is one other end of the spectrum that we don't always speak about, because my mom, for a majority of her life, was a housewife, and there's a lot of leadership within the household, and the best example is a lot of helpers and staff in our house have been with us and our family for over 25-30 years, and that is a testament to the care, the empathy that my mom has shown them, which shows that they value this, and that's very human to value something like this. So you can only touch people's hearts through that, and any cross border collaboration or growth doesn't happen if you don't connect with the other person. So I think that's something that is very critical.
Thank you so much, Tanya and Asir. I think the key, I would say that the main point that everyone stressed on, and I myself also agree 100%, that care and the care that we have for each other and for the community, and starting from the families, it's so important in whether you're working on your company or your growth in your own community, or you're going for cross-border. That is, I think, very universal and something that can be understood by everyone, whether you speak the same language or not, whether you're from a different community, ethnicity, whatever it is. But that's something that I think we can all resonate with. So I'm glad that we all touched upon that, and we all agree, and I'm sure all our participants agree with that as well. All right, so Tanya, I know she's going to get excited. So the next section is mentorship and networking, and how that can help our leadership growth. We do have 8 minutes left, so I think let's do 5 minutes on this, and then open the floor up for Q&A. We might have to drop our last section, but we might quickly do it. Let's see. So then I'll start with Tanya on this one. As her company, Egi, is all about this, and she's already, I'm so excited for her organization. So what do you think is the role of mentorship and networking in leadership growth, the importance of mentorship in your own journey, and how do you think organizations can better support women leaders that are coming up?
Sure. Just 2 things before I start. One, I really appreciate Laura's point in the chat box. I think you're absolutely right. That we are really looking for human connection now, which is why I think leveraging women's sort of innate ability to be more empathetic and all of that is really key to, I think, transform leadership as we know it. Yeah. And another point I just want to say: the other day I was on listening to a panel, and one of the speakers said something like this, and I wrote it down because I thought it was so nice. Embracing one's vulnerability is not a display of weakness. And I think that's at the core of how I think women lead, right? And it's okay to be like that. Like to my earlier point, that we don't need to lead like men. We can embrace who we are and lead from that space, right? So in terms of mentoring and networking, I think, we've been talking about this throughout, how we have the barriers to leadership and all of that. Asara, you mentioned that I think the women in leadership is about 30%. I want to talk to you about that, because when I did the research, I actually found a horrible picture, which is that it's only 8 to 9% of women are in leadership positions in Bangladesh, which is it's horrible, right? It's like, how is it acceptable on any level, And then when you think of a population of 180 million people, or so thereabouts, and in the banking sector, there's only 36,000 women who are working in the banking sector. And when I read that, it just blew my mind. Like, what is this? How is that possible? Right? And these are women, and it's not and I'm not talking about 36,000 women leaders. I'm just talking about, maybe they're at the teller level or maximum mid-level management. There's very few people who can kind of cross that mid-level and go up, right? I can talk about why this is for hours, but I only have 3 minutes. I'll just take 3 minutes. So I kept seeing this gap around me, right? These super talented women who are really, really hardworking, but not finding the voice or finding their agency to speak up. So I thought, what was the thing that really benefited me in my career? And it was basically getting mentoring, right? Having someone who I could go to with any kind of workplace challenge, or maybe some issues come up. I need some guidance. Maybe I have an idea. Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Just someone to sort of bounce off that idea. And then someone to learn from, like they're learning from their lived experience, right? So that's something that's so valuable, and you cannot put a price tag on it. And I feel like in my own journey, having people like that, both male and female, right, has really sort of supported me in my career. And so then I was thinking that, okay, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. I want to work for myself, which is why I left my organization, even after getting a promotion. But anyway, story for another day. But what I was thinking is that what can I do with what I've learned, right? I can either keep this with me, right? Enjoy like sort of early retirement and just do whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or I can actually use this knowledge and see how I can transfer it to the next generation, right? And I have like, as I mentioned earlier, 25 years, well, my mom introduced me as such, that 25 years of experience globally, everywhere. I've been to Africa. I've even been to Afghanistan. So I think I have like quite a lot of experience. So again, I can gatekeep that, which will serve no one, not even myself, or I can share that knowledge, right? And so I built Egie with exactly that intention. And I feel that, these young women, entry-level, mid-career, women who are returning to work, young entrepreneurs, et cetera, they would really benefit from getting this guidance from like a senior, female professional who's been there, done that. Secondly, in Bangladesh, this is something I told Kashfia, we have so many incredible women leaders, but we only, sorry to say, get to hear about a select few, right? And for me, that really bugs me, right? Because I'm like, hello, there's like all these women, and we should be not just seeing like the few sort of at the top, 3, 4, 5 women that, I'm sure Asara, Asir, Maimun, if I asked you, you'll give me the same 3 names that we see all the time, right? But guess what? There's so many women that are doing incredible stuff. So why don't we spotlight them? And the more we spotlight what they're doing, the more the younger generation will be like, I can do that too. Because representation matters, right? So the more they see themselves, they see other women doing these like non-traditional or high-level jobs, the more they will feel that I can also do it, right? That, and then the third point is about, again, I was talking about access to networks, right? We don't have that here in Bangladesh. So my third objective with Egie is to build really a platform, a networking platform that's like rooted in empathy, trust, and it's a safe space. So, one of the things I'm envisioning is if this goes well, sometime next year, when I do a networking event, it won't be the typical networking events that we see in Dhaka. It will hopefully be 98% women. And I will allow the 2% men who will be the sound check guys and the wait staff. Sorry, gentlemen, it's just a joke, yeah? But now imagine what the conversations there will look like, and how real and how meaningful they'll be, right? So anyway, as I said, I can talk about this for hours, but I'll stop there. And just to say that I think it's a really key a key way to bring women into more leadership roles through mentoring and sponsorship. So I'll just stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Sunny. And I think Laura's already responded in the chat that she loves that and sounds like an amazing idea. And I think that what Tanya is doing is so great, and I'm lucky to be one of the mentors in her very esteemed Egie. And I really am very excited going forward, because I think what she said is so important, that especially if you go 10, 15 years back, it's still improving. Like she said, that you'll only hear a handful of names, but 10, 15 years ago, it was even like a little worse, further away. And access was so difficult to platforms. You really needed to carve your space and make yourself heard. And so you have all the pressures of being a leader, and then multiply that by 10 because you're a woman leader. And that's what it was. And it still is somewhat, but I mean, but the hopeful thing is it's getting better, and especially with entrepreneurs and leaders like Tania, Sarah, Ruby in her community, even male allies like us there who think like that. When you have people like that, it definitely helps the growth. And I'm really looking forward to the next phase and what's going to happen. Sarah, and then Asir, and then Ruby, if you want to touch on how mentorship was important to you on your journey and how it can, accelerate success going forward.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's mentorship that I say that I'd say close to as a coach. I think the coaching is what I have got the experience as a coach and also as a coachee through my mentors and coaches who encouraged me to and gave me the direction of my own goals, how to get to my journey and to get to my own goals. So I am a certified professional coach, as you know, from International Association of Coaching, and I also sat on their board of governors for I think almost 4 years, 3 to 4 years, and I was the one of the communication leads of IAC as well. And IAC is one of the like a sister of ICF, well knows ICF, and the founder of Thomas Leonard, who founded these two bodies. They are the top level of coaching to this day. So what they are specialized in, quickly, I just want to point out their 9 masteries that shapes a person to go from what they want in their where they are in their life and where they want to go through the coaching journey that they are going. So just quickly, I just want to share their 9 masteries here. Is that the number 1 here is to establish and maintain a relationship of trust. So the first one that what Ms. Tanya has mentioned as well, that to give people a safe space and supportive relationships that actually grows their personal discover. So they grow as a person and they can discover and be a transformation. So just quickly go through this. I can go for hours and hours for this, but for the second mastery here is that to perceiving, affirming, and expanding the client's potential. The client means, yes, it could be you, it could be someone else that you're coaching. So what is the affirmation are you telling to yourself? How are you recognizing yourself as a person, as a human being, as a woman? So try to find your strengths, your potential. So that's the mastery number 2. And mastery number 3 is engaged listening. So here is, we call it active listening. So just not listen to understand, listen to be empathetic towards the person you're talking to. So that's number 3. And number 4 here is be at the present. So processing in the present is number 4 is just focus on what you're doing right now, this day, not what happened in the past or what will happen in the future. So that's not relevant. So, and number 5 here is expressing. So be aware of your surroundings, how you express, how you communicate, and how you are navigating yourselves through this journey. And number 6 here is clarifying. So ask yourselves clarifying questions like, why am I here in the first place? What do I want in my life? So that gives you the clarification of yourself. Number 7 is helping the client set and keep clear intentions. Here, of course, it can be you, it can be your colleagues. So what intentions are you providing? Like what are you here for? What's your focus? What's your working towards for your goals? And number 8 here is inviting possibilities. So what are the opportunities? What are the possibilities that could happen for you to achieve your goals? And what are the ideas and options for you to emerge in life? And number 9 here is helping the client to create and use support systems and structures. So here what happens is to find out, go to YouTube channel, what you want to learn, what you upscaling yourself. This is the point that gives you the support for you to achieve your goals. So that's a thing that I wanted to share here as I have been certified through this. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Aftar. That was very insightful, and I wish we could, there's so much to learn from you as a coach, but I know that we are in the interest of time. But if anyone wants to, learn more and follow up on those points and get learn from an internationally certified coach, please get in touch with Aftara. And I'm sure, you can take it offline and learn more about those points that she was talking about. After, you could very quickly, talk about
Sure, I'll be
mentorship.
quick. So mentorship for me is like a personal gym trainer. You don't think you need one until you do. So, guys, everyone, get a mentor. I can't stress this enough. It's so important. Um, and find someone who has the same values, who you connect with from your perception of leadership, from your perception of how you want to aspire to be like someone. These are very key things that you need to really understand when you do seek mentorship. But again, yeah, it's very critical. And again, hone your skill sets. And when I say skill sets, I really can't stress enough how important it is to hone your soft skills, right? So that is very, very critical. So always focus a lot on that, because I feel like that gets really diluted in today's world. So yes, that's
Thank you, Arthur. Wonderful.